Hey everybody, it's your girl Jane B, aka the Common Sense Diva, and y'all, we just gonna get right into it because I have so much to say. I have so much to unpack about the season finale of The Bachelor with Matt James and the After the Final Rose. So admittedly so, I have been watching a few of the reviews, you know, of people talking about the show, and usually I don't like to do that because I really want to come with a clear thought and I don't want to be inspired by anyone else's thoughts. But even with watching other people's reviews about the season finale, I still have my own thoughts. So I just wanted to bring them to you right now just to let you know where I stand about the whole entire situation. So first of all, everyone has been saying like, oh my God, this season was a shit show. This is the worst season ever. And in my mind, I'm saying, now how was this the worst season ever? Because what did they do on this season that was so different from any other seasons that make it the worst season? I mean, outside of maybe a Bachelor is terrible. You know, we've seen the Juan Pablos and people like that. But I mean, as far as the actual filming, the dates, what made it so bad? And in my mind, I have a few reasons why it was bad. First of all, anytime you do something and it's from not a pure place, then you always end up with impure results. So, as we know, Matt James was brought in as a knee-jerk reaction to Black Lives Matter and George Floyd getting murdered on television or on video or whatever you want to say. That is why he was cast. So it wasn't like it was a pure situation where the producers was like, you know what? We've been doing white people for the past 20 years. How about we bring somebody black on board? No, that was never said. It was, oh my God, we don't want to look like racist. We don't want to look like we're behind the times. So let's just go ahead and cast somebody black. So wait, let's do the list. Wait. Now, what season's coming up? Oh, Clara's season coming up. Oh, okay. Claire's season. So who do we got? So, Matt, Tyler. Yeah. Matt, his friend. Oh, he hangs out with him. He's on video with him. He does TikTok with him. All right, let's get Matt James. And so now Matt James is brought in, and it doesn't help, and it doesn't hurt rather, that Matt James is friends with someone who's white, with someone who has those connections. So, you know, Matt is very white adjacent. And so it didn't help. It didn't help hurt him. So this is why now Matt was brought into The Bachelor. And so he was a shoo-in. I'm sure, you know, he came highly regarded by Tyler. And now here we are. So now we bring him in. And of course, because we don't have anybody of any ranking that is black on the set, as far as the executive producers and people behind the scenes, you don't know how to deal with a black man. You're dealing with everybody like they're across the board, like there are no differences with black people. So again, as another knee-jerk reaction, so since we don't know how to deal with this black man, let's just make white women the center point of the drama. So then we spent a whole season, we spent a whole episode and a half about Sarah. Then we spent the rest of the episode about Victoria, Anna calling people whores and sluts and all kind of names and escorts, and we made it all about them. And then Matt is in the background, or his truth is in the background, his fun dates are in the background. And so now everyone's saying it was a horrible season. It wasn't a horrible season because of Matt. It was a horrible season because your intentions were not pure in the first place by bringing him on. It was a knee-jerk reaction, and you had to just throw all this other drama in our faces and then somehow make it seem like it was Matt's fault. And then on top of that, with the whole drama with the racism and Rachel, we'll get to that in a minute. But this season was a wash because ABC made it a wash. Not ABC, the Bachelor producers made it a wash. It was a wash because you intentionally did that with your editing style. That is what happened. It wasn't a wash because of Matt James, because I'm sure there was things about Matt James we just did not get to see because you chose not to show us. You chose not to show us. And this is why now we have this whole debacle of a season, and here we are. Okay? So the other thing I want to talk about is amazing how, on top of all the drama that was going on that you guys were letting us see, it's amazing how powerful social media is. Because I was like, one video from TikTok just exploded into a tsunami of just allegations of receipts on Rachel Kirkconnell. Because the young lady, I can't think of her name right now, I do follow her though on TikTok, she said, oh, Rachel, remember when you used to tease me in high school for liking black guys, for bullying me in high school for liking black guys? And this is when Rachel was all canoodling with Matt on the couch, and that just exploded. And so that just lets me know, like, you know, social media is real, child. I mean, my thing is this: if you are out in these streets, in these reality streets, and you, unless you coming out the gate like messy and you don't care, if you coming out the gate on some pure, I'm amazing, you know, I'm the Virgin Mary, scrub your TikTok, scrub your Instagram, scrub your Facebook, scrub your YouTube, scrub your Twitter, scrub everything, because honey, somebody there's a sleuth somewhere out there that's just gonna expose all of you, okay? There are people out in these social media streets that are waiting for your demise. So I'm telling you, before you get out here claiming anything, make sure you do everything you need to do in the background to make sure we don't find out later, okay? Because somebody's always willing to bring you down, all right? So, child, let's just get into this finale real quick. I'm just gonna run through it real quick, hit my points, and then we're gonna hit the after the final rose. So now, Matt is now bringing the young ladies home to meet his mother. So Matt has a brother, okay? Did we know his brother was a marriage between Nipsey Hussle and Colin Kaepernick, with the braids and the look and the coloring and the beard and the, well, I don't know about the grill. Did Nipsey wear grills? I'm not sure. Did Nipsey, or I don't think Colin wore grills. But those two men were good looking, and Matt's brother was good looking too, but he was definitely giving you hood vibes. I mean, and when I say hood, I just mean like a little more black vibes than Matt. Because Matt, I mean, he and Matt are like completely, like, to me, opposites. Now, I don't know him personally. I don't know either one of them personally. But to me, from what Matt presents to us, his brother is giving you like, yo, what's up? Like, what's going on? Let's talk. Let's chill. I mean, his brother's on some whatever. And then when I saw his music video, John the Scorpio, I saw his music video and I was like, all right, wait a minute. I said, okay, I thought Matt could have been hood adjacent. I wasn't sure, but then when I kept seeing it, I said, okay, Matt, you got a little black in you. I mean, you be trying to suppress it, but you got a little black in you. I can see. Well, child, he brought the girls home, and now the parent, the mother, and the brother is gagging a little bit because they're like, no, wait a minute. We known our brother our whole life, and I ain't never seen him with no woman kikiing like this and all out. You know, just all out with his emotions and things like that. So now Matt brings home Michelle first, and you know, they were smiling, kind of like, oh God, who is this guy? So anyway, so Matt, you know, introduces her, and then he has a talk with the brother. The brother was like, when's the last time you've been in love? You know, the brother was asking the questions, and Michelle, you know, she just had that position like, yeah, so this is it, this is that, this is that, this is that. The brother was like, all right, cool. Then she spoke to the mother, and the mother was just already, the waterworks was there, and she was, you know, just talking to Michelle. And I just think, honestly, she was probably emotional, like, somebody loved my son. The son, I didn't even know, you know, how he was in relationships. And now to have these women like fawning over him and just totally smitten by him, you know, those tears, the emotions was definitely there. Because I guess she's like, this is really surreal. So with that being said, you know, it seemed like it went well. So then that was it. And then the next day, Rachel comes. So wait, let's back up. So they were snowing outside. So now they are having snowball fights. And Matt, I just want you to know, you threw that snowball kind of hard. I was like, are you pitching for the Major League Baseball? Like, what is going on? He threw that snowball so hard. I was like, dang. Like, you know, Michelle was just a little like, you know, with the fruit. And Matt was like, whoa. I was like, okay, man, you're gonna relax. You're gonna relax. So that was a little hard. But anyway, so I guess that's their relationship, child. So they was kikiing, and that was it. And then Rachel came, and then, you know, it's the same routine as they do every time. The mother seemed like she was, you know, into Rachel as well. She had tears. I mean, Rachel is here to let you know, I am here for your son. I'm here for your brother. He is my person, yada, yada, yada. Matt is seeming, of course, you know, he's swooning a little extra hard over Rachel. And then that was pretty much it. And then Matt sat and spoke to his mother. And I don't know about y'all, but it was something it was something about the way Matt was rubbing his mother's leg. I was like, because it was like the inner thigh area. It wasn't even like, it was just interesting. Because I was like, wow, Matt does that with everybody. But I guess that's where he gets it from. Maybe from when he was little, he just used to talk to his mommy, and rub her leg. And I guess it just carried over. Because it seemed kind of strange. Because I don't know that I've ever noticed anyone like not be affectionate, but be affectionate in that way. Like, you know, where you're like rubbing while you're talking. That could be a coping mechanism for him. Who knows? So anyway, that was it. And, you know, they seem to be on board. And then mama dropped the bomb. Mama was like, listen, love is cute, but it ain't everything. And I guess it's kind of like Serena P, because when Serena P's family dropped the bomb on her, like, oh, there's something different about you. Like, I don't think he's your person or whatever like that. I think that's when the truth bombs hit Serena P. Next thing you know, she was cutting Matt off. And I think the same thing happened with Matt, because once the mother and the brother spoke, Matt started getting doubts. I guess it was like, well, wait, what's going on? Now, I'm going to tell y'all my perspective when it comes to that. I think that, you know, Matt was young when his father left, and, you know, a lot of his information he has gotten from his mother. A lot of his perspective he has gotten from his mother. Now, we weren't there, but I just have a feeling that his mother probably relayed a lot of information. She probably relayed a lot of information. She probably let Matt and his brother know about how she was feeling and how it was caused, and it was caused by your father, because Matt speaks so much about it. He talks so much about, and then my father did this, and then my father left, and then my mother did, you know, it was just a lot compiled. And I'm just getting the feeling that the mother probably overshared, supersedingly shared. Is that a word? Did I just make that up? But I believe she just shared a lot with Matt and his brother about his father, the lack thereof, the lack of the relationship. I'm sure she painted herself, you know, in a great light, I'm sure. And as a result, you know, Matt has this real image about his father. And it seems to me that with all of that information, Matt has now, you know, he wants to withdraw from that. So, okay, I'm going to withdraw from that, and I'm going to put myself into this group, and I'm going to put myself into this group, and I'm going to always be joking and always be doing things that seem like it's over the top and exciting and adventurous. And sometimes, a lot of times when you see people that's always over the top and doing the most outrageous things, a lot of times that's covering for something. A lot of times, in my opinion, I believe that that's covering for the hurt and the pain that's deep down inside. And I think what this show is doing is this show is exposing. This show has stripped away all of that excitement, all that over the topness that you're about, all the just everything you're about. It stripped it away, and it left you raw, and it left you wide open. And I think that's what was happening with Matt. And I think that's why, you know, he started having a meltdown. Like, wait, what am I doing? Wait, the fantasy was good, but now that my family brought me back to reality, what am I really doing here? Because now it's kind of like, wait a minute, Matt, you can't hide from yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are. I thought about that, so I was thinking about Matt, and that song came to me because I was like, that is the truth right there. You cannot hide from yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are. You can hang out with Tyler. You can hang out with Gigi Hadid. You can hang out with the Kardashians. You can do all this amazing stuff. You can even be the lead on The Bachelor. But if you and who you are on the inside is issue-based, then until you deal with them issues, you can't hide, and you'll never find happiness. So I'm glad in the sense that Matt did go through all this, because if nothing came from this, if nothing else, the fact that now you know that there's some work that needs to be done within you. And I believe that Matt strikes me as the type that he's up for the challenge. He is the type that's going to be like, you know what? This show showed me that I'm a mess in a whole lot of areas, and it's going to start making me question everything. Because, after the final rose, and we'll get to that in a minute, I was like, oh, Matt about to be Hotep. Anyway, so, child, that happened, and so now, you know, everybody left, you know, from meeting the parents, and so now the next day came, and they are doing their repelling. The dates are a little corny, only because I understand, so I'm not going to judge the dates. The dates are very corny because they have to stay in this bubble, which is Nemacolin, and so they're trying to just think of everything to do within this this confined area. So now we are rappelling down 15 feet, whatever. So now they're rappelling, you know, of course Michelle is scared, but she said, you know, I'll try it, whatever. So they rappel down, they have their little talk. Matt is still kikiing with her. Now, we know what's about to happen, right? But you couldn't tell by the setup that was about to happen. And you know what it is too with Matt? Matt, to me, one of his issues, and Michelle touched on this on After the Final Rose, Matt does not know how, to me, effectively communicate where he's still giving you something to work with other than just staring you, because Matt can zero in on you. He's staring you down. He's staring you down to the ground. He's staring at you, but he's not really giving you anything. So you're just thinking it's part of the show that he keep quiet. But I'm like, no, I've seen other bachelors. Other bachelors will still give you some information like, oh my goodness, I really like you. Now, he ain't saying love, but other bachelors have said, oh, I really like you. You know, it's just something about you. He wasn't giving them girls nothing. I was like, dang. I mean, he was only really giving Rachel something. But child, anyway, so after they had their little date, you know, on the couch, I guess, it looked like, what was that, a landing show? What was that? Like, what was that, a landing strip? Like an airport strip? But anyway, so after they had their little date, you know, now is the evening portion of the date. And also now Matt is coming to Michelle's room. And I guess that's where, you know, they're going to have their last rites before the proposal. And so, you know, Michelle's excited. She's pulling out, you know, the jerseys and things of that nature. And then Matt, you know, lets down the hammer and basically say, you know, I don't think I can get there. But it was so dry and it was with no emotion. And I'm praying that there's some stuff they edited out, because I cannot imagine that after all the twirling, after all the sexing, after all the carry-on that has been going on with you and Michelle, the balloon riding, the zip lining, after all of that, you just gonna end with, you not my person? Like, I can't get there with you? Like, Matt, you're gonna have to do better than that. You're gonna have to do better than that, because like I said, God, please let there be more to that situation on the cutting room floor, because that was cold as hell. And then after he said it, Michelle just got up and walked him out. Now, where they do that in the real world? They don't even do it like that. So anyway, child, next thing you know, Matt is walking out, and to me, the fact that Matt was having the breakdown on the sidewalk with Chris Harrison, that let me know that there was more to that conversation, because I cannot believe that Matt just blurted it out, said all of this, left, and then that was it. And now Michelle is collapsing. She probably hyperventilated. She rolling on the floor, and then they're not letting Matt see her. And something that someone said, a reviewer I was watching, and it makes a lot of sense, and I'm gonna bring it to you guys. They said, you mean to tell me Matt has been going to Sarah's room, he's been asking girls what they need to do to make it better, and then all of a sudden at the end Matt don't want to see her? I think that was producer aided, because you can't tell me that Matt, and he spent all that time with Michelle, you can't tell me that Matt went and went back just to say, you okay, you sure? I'm having a hard time believing that. I believe that they probably said, oh, Matt don't want to see you, but the truth is they probably said, no, Matt, you don't need to see her. Oh no, she's okay. I'm really having a hard time believing that Matt just was like, no, I don't want to see you, because Matt has not shown himself to be that kind of person. So I think they was a setup, and that just lets you further know that, you know, when you get on this reality show, they don't care about your feelings, they don't care about your emotions, they don't care about your mental well-being, because for them to have just let Michelle like pass out on the floor and Matt pass out on the sidewalk and not letting them talk, that's a problem. That's a problem. So anyway, child, so then that happened. So then the next day, Matt, I guess, you know, he was talking to Chris Harrison, and he was just like, you know, this is hard. This is hard for me. I don't know if I'm be able to go on. So then he tells, I guess he told the powers that be, I'm just going to skip my date with Rachel. Now, Rachel, that's a red flag. That's a red flag, because he canceled the date. That may be a little, you know how you have a lapel, it was a little red just sticking out the corner, because first he canceled the date, okay? So he's canceling the date with absolutely no explanation, because we ain't got no phones, no texts, and no nothing. So you don't know what's going on. You don't know if he's hemmed up with Michelle somewhere, if they making wedding plans. You don't know nothing. All you know is that you in a room, and next thing you know, we ain't together, okay, for the day. And the day before an engagement. So that makes it even worse. So now Rachel is left to her own devices. Thank God nothing sharp was in the room. We hope not, because we don't know if she would have hurt herself. We don't know nothing. Anyway, child. So she's having her feelings, right? So then the next day, there's a note slipped under the door, and Matt was like, meet me at the whatever. Okay. So now you know, I guess they told her, dress up, this is it. I guess, because clearly, if you said meet me at the lake, I'm wearing jeans and sneakers. They said meet me at the lake. She's coming in with the full, I did like the dress. I like I love me a dip back. She had that dip back in the back. So she had her green dress. Rachel's hair is never giving me life though. That part in the middle, it's always kind of little, you know, it's a little plain or whatever, but whatever. So she was there, but the dress was nice, and she met Matt, and, you know, I don't know, if it was you, would you have been asking questions? I would have came in clapping. I just would have came in clapping, because I'm like, what? Like, why'd you cancel my date? I mean, maybe they didn't show us that, but that would have been my first thing. Like, why'd you cancel the date? What was going on? I need to know. But I'm sure you cannot tell me that girl is that smitten that she wouldn't say anything. But again, we don't know what they leave on the cutting room floor. So anyway, child, he let her talk, and Matt again gives you that Matt give you that blank stare, like, and child, he was giving her the blank stare. And then he broke it down. But then as we see, child, oh wait, did I talk about meet with Neil Lane? Yeah, he met with Neil Lane. Somebody said that I was watching. They said, no, child, Neil Lane is product placement. You got to get him in there. He don't care. They was like, we know you ain't marrying nobody, but you're going to pick out a ring today, because you're going to let them know what I have today. So anyway, so Matt has the ring, knowing good and well he wasn't proposing to Rachel. And Rachel gets there, and he lets her pretty much know, like, I can't propose to you, but I still want you to be my friend. And I'm gonna tell y'all, pause. Let's go back to Rachel Lindsay season. That was the main reason why Rachel didn't get with Peter, because Peter wanted to do the same thing. He said, let's just be girlfriend, boyfriend outside of this. And Rachel said, no, I've been there. I know what that's about. You're gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend me to death. Okay? You're gonna be in a relationship with me to death with no commitment. And so Brian was something different that she didn't expect. And even though I was dragging her at the beginning with Brian, I was like, no, Brian, Peter's the one. Listen, Brian has shown himself to be a rider. He let Chris Harrison have it when it came to his wife. And Brian is also in a position that he's willing to learn, because Rachel has been teaching Brian. She's been showing him the way, and he has been learning. Now, I'm sure he is affiliated with Black Lives Matter, because Brian is learning about black people, black relationship, the black movement, and I'm here for it. So anyway, that just reminded me of that. And so fast forward back to Matt and Rachel, when he's like, let me just be your boyfriend. I was like, oh, I see handwritings on the wall, but there we are. And so Rachel, like, she was just like, well, you know, I'm totally paraphrasing, y'all. I don't even know exactly what she said, but she was like, okay, well, I'm here for you and I love you. And she had that big smile, child. She had the big smile, and Matt was like, but I do love you. I can't imagine not leaving here without you. And you know, he said his piece or whatever like that, and next thing you know, that was it. And they hugged it out, and now we do the flashback when they showed them hugging and stuff. But something about that hug didn't look authentic to me. It was just something about it. It looked either not real, or Matt was just like really out of his element talking about it. But anyway, so they were like, oh, we're together, it feels so good to say I love you, and yada yada yada. Honey, if I was Rachel, I would have been asking all kinds of questions that would have sent up all red flags to me. But hey, listen, I don't know if this is her first black man. Maybe she was just excited about more black peen. I don't know. But that would have been a little red flaggish to me. But then again, Rachel is young, so she has a lot to learn. And so maybe as she's learning, she'll look back on this time in her life and go, what was I thinking? And there you have it. And then, end scene. And now we are ready for the After the Final Rose. So let's talk about After the Final Rose. Now, I know y'all have heard this, and if you haven't heard it, let me let you know. Emmanuel Acho. I need to know, who is the designers who brought these extremely tight suits into style? Okay, so first of all, I'm sure whoever did it was thinking European white men. I am sure they was not thinking black men with hips and butt. We're gonna have to leave these tight suits like where they belong, on a fashion model over there. But for the real men and some black men with big arms and big chests and big butts and big hips and thighs, I'm gonna need y'all to wear something. It could be slim fitted. I'm not saying you can't wear something slim fitted. Don't get it twisted. But when it's tight to the point where you look uncomfortable, Emmanuel Acho, and I think Emmanuel is so cute. I think he is fine, okay? Ever since he was even on Orgies, man, I was like, okay, he could get it. Anyway, that tight suit was getting on my nerves, and I was like, please let that thing be spandex. Do not tell me that's no regular cloth suit. Please don't tell me that is a regular cloth suit that you done squoze into, because it looked ridiculous. And the funny thing is, the pants wasn't so tight, because when he stood up, the pants actually fit decent. But that jacket, I was like, who thought that was a good idea? Who thought that? And Emmanuel, when you was in the fitting, you didn't think to say to yourself, no, it's a little too tight? You didn't think that? You really thought, oh, I'm going to show them today? Oh my God, were you like, I'm going to show them today? No, honey, don't you ever, if you come back for any kind of hosting duties or anything, you better rethink that thing 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I'd rather you in a white beater than a tight suit. Oh God. Anyway, child, so Emmanuel had on that tight suit that was getting on my nerves. I'm gonna stop laughing, but y'all, that thing is so funny to me because it's so ridiculous. Anyway, so he came out. I love the studio, the way it was set up. Kind of weird, like not having anybody there, but there you are. So then they started out, and they started out with Michelle. They just got right to it. Bam, bam, let's bring Michelle out. Michelle looked nice, but it was something about the low cut of that dress that was disturbing to me. And I think it was because, you know what it was? They needed to just like contour her cleavage a little more, because she's not large up top. So it made it almost just look like it was just like a V, but there was no va-va-va-voom. So to me, it was a nice dress, but I wish there was just a little more like contour with the cleavage or whatever like that. But in terms of everything else was fabulous. I love her makeup. I will say that her brows were a little heavy. I would have given her a softer brow, a softer color, just to kind of go with her skin tone a little bit. Maybe a mocha, something just a little lighter. But I was loving the dark eye makeup, because, you know, for the most part, we just see Michelle very fresh face, very fabulous. But I did like the look, honey. They're getting her ready for the Bachelorette, child, so they had to give her a little smoky look. And it's so funny because, like, talking to Michelle with Emmanuel, she just looks so grown. Like, Michelle just looks like a grown woman up there talking. She doesn't look like one of these little young girls like, oh my God. She's not like that at all. She's giving you like very sophisticated, grown presence. And I love it. I'm here for it. So, you know, she sat down and she was able to talk to Emmanuel, you know, about like where she is now and, you know, things of that nature. And then the next thing you know, they bring out Matt. So they bring out Matt, you know, they hug it out. And Matt, I think it was a combination of Matt being nervous, because he just looked shell-shocked. Like, you know, Michelle's talking, he's like, you know, Matt just gives you the, you know, and it is no like real interaction or whatever, but, you know, there is where we learned about the whole, I just need to talk to you. I was falling out on the floor. I was collapsing into a puddle of mush, and you would not speak to me. And Matt says sorry. And the more I thought about it, as far as the producers playing a part, Matt didn't probably want to call nobody out right there on the show and be like, no, Chad, I was the producers. I would have spoke to you. But, you know, Matt said, you know what? I'm a black man. I'm already a big black man. They probably scared of me. Now I got this beard. Let me just keep it real nice. I'm so sorry, girl. I'm so sorry. I wish I would have known, because I would have definitely come and spoke to you. But anyway, Michelle was like, listen, I'm a forgiving person. I forgive you. And Emmanuel was like, well, do you still love him? Emmanuel was like, Michelle, do you still love him? And she was like, I put that down. Do I care for him? Yes. Will he always have a piece of my heart? But I'm sure after seeing the whole season and how everything played out, I'm sure Michelle was like, no, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. But Matt, you always have a special place in my heart. And then, honey, she was just like, and then I'm going to need you to kiss with your eyes open. And then I'm going to need you to stop giving people one line and stuff. My thank you for sharing. Matt, where did you learn that? Like, where did you, like, that's the most swaggy statement you could have made. Like, oh my God, thank you so much. I love hearing that. You could have said that, Matt. Matt, you could have been like, I just love hearing that. And then kissed them. Not just, thank you for sharing. Kiss. Really? Anyway, child, so that was that. And then Michelle leaves the stage, and now Matt is just talking to Emmanuel. And, you know, being a black person, this is the things we're used to, because I'm finding like in listening to reviews and listening to people talk about it, I feel like white people are really just amazed and astonished, and it's the best thing since sliced bread what Emmanuel's doing. But, you know, as a black person, like, I don't feel like I'm as blown away. I don't feel like I'm as like, oh my God, two black men talking, because we know what that looks like for black men to talk. This is for the white folk, child. This is for the middle America, and this is for them, because we know what time it is. But it was just nice for Matt to say that he was a black man. As far as I'm concerned, like, it was just nice to hear Matt describing himself as a black person. And I'm gonna tell y'all, with everything that has gone on between last summer, between all the rioting, between the way that the show was portrayed, between seeing how he was put on the back burner and all the drama with the white women were put on the front burner, I'm sure this has all brought Matt to a point in his life where, you know what, I really am black and I'm getting a black man experience for real. I know I have been using my white association, my proximity to whiteness as a plus for me, but this is really letting me know, no. Your mama and them may see you that way. Maybe your close friends may see you that way, but to the world, we see you as a black man. And so just breaking it down, and you know, I really was feeling for Matt, because he was like, you know, I really felt the pressure, because, you know, I'm not a black man, but I can only imagine as a black man, especially as a big black man, you know, you always want to make white people feel comfortable. And I guess he was like, nah, I don't want to go on this show and be stereotypical. So he's like, I'm sure things that he probably would have said in real life, he probably didn't. He probably held back a lot, because even for me, let me just use myself. Let me just spill some tea on me. So just a couple of years ago, right? Just a couple of years ago, I just remember I was in a situation just like living life, and something just came over me. I don't know what it was, but I remember thinking to myself that it is not my job to make white people comfortable, because growing up, especially in America, you are so brainwashed and you don't even realize you're being brainwashed. You are brainwashed that white is right. White is what you aspire to. And no one tells you that. Like, it's not said. No one actually sits you down and says white is right. No one does that. But it's just throughout just the media and just the way things are, and how the implicit bias and all the things, how it's spilled out to you in your life. You just start assuming, and then next thing you know, when you see white people, you let them go by, or, you know, it must be a nice neighborhood because white people are moving in, or, you know. And then you start realizing, wait a minute. And it just hit me a couple years ago. And I was like, it's not my job to make white people comfortable. How is it my job to make white people comfortable when we're the ones that's getting attacked a lot of times? We're the ones that are put in marginal spaces. We are the ones that are hung, or lynched, or you know, done all sorts of manners of evil to, from years back and current times. Why is it my job to make you comfortable? And I feel that throughout this whole Bachelor experience with Matt, he's really getting the crashiest course of his life. That, number one, he is a black man, what it means to be a black man. And I'm not saying he does not know this, because I don't know him that way, but this is just my interpretation for what I'm seeing. That, yes, I'm a black man. This is what it means to be black. This is how I'm seen in the world as a black man. So when he was having that conversation with Emmanuel, I was like, yes, Matt, you better come through Hotep. You better come through woke Matt. Because Matt all of a sudden now is like, wait a minute. Oh, so you mean all these years I've been playing myself? But Matt, you know you can't hide from yourself. Do I need to start singing again? You can't hide from yourself. You are a black man, even with a white mother in the world, in America. You are seen as a black man. So you have to live your life in that way. And that's why you were talking about how you had to be so careful with this show, especially when you're talking about with precious white women, because that's the way white women is portrayed to us. You know, they're the precious ones, and the black women, you know, we're expendable. You know what I mean? We're okay. But the white women are the precious ones. So you always had to handle them with kid gloves, because I was still waiting for a full black woman to go on a one-on-one with Matt. I was still waiting to see that. And I'm wondering, why didn't we see that? Is it, Matt, did you just not like the black women? And don't get me wrong, because Michelle's black and the other girls are black, but I mean a full black person. Like, it just wasn't, you know, they didn't show us that. And I don't know why that was, but maybe it was just Matt's choice. I don't know. But anyway, so, you know, Matt was just talking about how he has to navigate the world. And, you know, and it was just nice to see him and Emmanuel have that conversation. And it was just really, really nice to see, you know, Matt just own who he is in a public way, because I'm sure maybe he does when he's with his brother friends, okay, but now to really own it for America, to say, yes, I am a black man. And then, you know, when he had that conversation with him, when Emmanuel was talking to him about Rachel, that was real for me, because I was like, damn, you know, because it's like, you know, you think you found the love of your life, you think you're with someone who you want to be with the rest of your life, you want to have babies with them, you want to grow old with them, and then to find all this stuff out, and then on top of that, to find this out, see how they edited your season, see how they presented you to the world. It was like, I could only imagine, it was just like thing after thing after thing after thing after thing, and Matt was just like, that's it, I can't do this. So I guess, and then I can only imagine that conversation, because when he was saying like I guess when he called Rachel or spoke to Rachel and talked to her about what was going on, she probably, in her mind, she probably did not even think it was a big deal. So he was trying to explain to her like that's problematic, because I'm a black man and I don't really think you understand. But then Matt, I'm coming back at you, because how is she supposed to understand that? She ain't a black man, and she grew up in all white spaces, and she grew up in a town that is questionably, arguably racist, okay? Forsyth County, Georgia. Get into it. And so how is she going to know how to react as a, you know, as you being a black man in the world? Now, if maybe she came more like understanding, or maybe it was just her attitude, the way she spoke to him. Maybe she was flipping like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? You know, maybe she was like that. But whatever, whatsoever she said, Matt wasn't feeling it. And he was just like, no, because why do I have to explain to you? Why do I have to sit here and for 35 minutes? That's why I'm saying, if you get with somebody, child, my white boyfriend gonna have to be, he gonna have to come culture ready. I'm just saying, if I got to be explaining the culture to you for an hour every time we talk, that's a problem, but child. So pretty much the bottom line is, he had to let you know, Rachel know it was probably a hard nut to crack, and that's the feeling I get. And I think that's why Matt couldn't forgive it, and especially once she owned up to it. And Matt not trying to mess up his brand, child. He ain't trying to. Could you imagine he doing ABC tours with inner city kids, but yet I'm married to a racist? That ain't gonna sound right. Or ex-racist, or you know what I'm saying, child. And so, child, so that was it. Then they brought Rachel out. I'm trying to think, did they bring Rachel? No, they brought Rachel out by herself first, and then Matt came and joined her. And again, and Rachel kept it real, which had me gagging a little bit, when she was like, Matt was like, Emmanuel was like, so what did you think about scrubbing the internet when you knew you was gonna be on the show? She was like, to be honest, no. Well, I mean, at least it was a real answer, but dag. I mean, again, you know, if you're always in the limelight, you're in a position to win all the time, you don't ever think about having to remove anything, because nothing's gonna happen to you, especially when it comes to questionable things. Because who else are you thinking about besides you and your group? You're not thinking about any marginalized groups. You're not thinking about the people you're culturally appropriating. You're not thinking about any of that. So that's what she was like, no, and she kept it really real. So now, just from that little snippet, I can only imagine the argument with her and Matt. She probably was just like, what is the big deal? Whatever. Anyway, child. So they had their little talk, whatever. She came out, and she wore red, because she know Matt like red. You ain't slick, Rachel. Anyway, so she wore her red, you know, she came out. Matt, you know, they did do a nice hug, so I did appreciate the nice embrace. So, you know, they did a good hug, whatever. And then they were talking, and Matt, of course, you know, giving that blank stare. You know how he just gives that stare. But it was like, I don't mean to laugh, y'all, but I was just thinking, like, it was a combination of, like, when he was looking at her, I was like, you didn't know if Matt wanted to grab her and kiss her, choke her out, slap her, beg for her forgiveness. Like, you didn't know what he was feeling. Because I was like, what Matt really want to do? Because, you know, she was like stating her case or whatever, and Matt was just looking, and Matt was just like, I mean, he was being as nice as he could, but basically while Emmanuel was trying to stoke the flames of, but why couldn't you get with her? Is there any room for that? You know, just stoking Emmanuel. Anyway, and Matt like stood his ground, and he was careful with his words. He was very direct in an indirect way with his words, but pretty much he was like, no, you gonna have to handle that on your own, and I'm not even trying to go there with you. Pretty much, like, you know, you will always have a special place in my heart. These feelings don't go away overnight, but the stage I'm in now that the covers has been stripped and I realize I'm a black man in America, I can't fool with you. So now we don't know if now he gonna be dating Lupita. We don't know if he gonna be dating Alex. We don't know who he gonna be dating now. Because I was like, Matt, you may want to think about this, because I guarantee you, if you would have got with Michelle or somebody that you really liked that was not white, you wouldn't be having this conversation. Y'all wouldn't have been breaking up 5 minutes after y'all got together. But because, you know, this is what it is. This is what you like. And I'm thinking now, if you dated white women in the past, what kind of conversations was y'all having then? But you know what? It probably wasn't under the lens of everything that's going on in the world right now. He's probably dated women that was racist or whatever, because he even said, you know, he had conversations with Chelsea, he had conversations with Michelle, but he didn't think to have a conversation with Rachel. I don't care if it's uncomfortable. Have a conversation. So what you think about this? So what you think about that? You better ask. Okay, because you need to know that this ain't just for today in the TV show. This is the rest of your life. This is somebody you're going to procreate with. This is somebody you're going to put some money together with bills. This is somebody you're going to be traveling throughout Cummings, Georgia with. You better know what you're getting into. And her little 24-year-old self, do she even know? So, you know, the fact that Matt, and listen, are we really surprised after Matt done cut off Ann with the quickness, cut off Victoria with the quickness? Matt is not about that life. Matt is about the I will cut you off life if I feel uncomfortable. And that's what he did. And he let Rachel have it. And then Emmanuel stoking the fire, talking about, if this your last time seeing him, what would you do? And honey, Matt sat there. It was silence of the lambs. Okay, because Matt was like, and I realized he does that. Matt is real quiet before he says something real profound and real deep. And honey, he had to breathe twice. I know in his head he was saying woosah. And he said, you know, his final words to her. And then they cut to commercial, child. We don't know if they hugged out or if they walked out. We don't know what happened. But at the end of it, that was the end of that. And next thing you know, they was announcing a new Bachelorette. So we went from one extreme to the other. So now, you know, they announced a new Bachelorettes, which will be Michelle and Katie. I'm excited about that. I'm even more excited that Michelle made them come to her terms, honey, because she was like, no. I will do the show, but it will not be with my kids in school. I already let them down to be here for once for this BS, but I ain't doing it twice. So she said, listen, my kids are in school from this day to this day. After that day, I'm free. And they said, okay, so we're going to make a whole new season. See, that's a lesson. That's why you ain't never got to give up. You ain't never got to give in to somebody's whims that's going to take you out of your comfort zone. She said, no. I'm teaching my kids. I love my children. Y'all seen them on the show doing Hometowns. I'm going back to them. And that's what she did. And she said, when this is over, sure, why not? I'll do it. And I'm going to need y'all to get some, what you call it, child? I want y'all to get a, diverse group again, and I want some real black men up in there, some fine ass black men who got it going on with some swag. So ABC Bachelor people, I'm gonna need the black men to have all the swag. I'm gonna need some swaggerliciousness. I'm gonna need some, you know, talking out the side of your mouth. I need some walking up, hey girl, hey. I'm gonna need all of that. Anyway, so it's gonna be interesting. I'm here for it. I don't know if I'm so much into Katie's season as much, but I'm definitely here for Michelle's season. And hopefully, you know, things work out. You said, listen, you know, it takes a long time for people to really realize their bias, their racism. So who knows if they're going to really make some real changes in the back, but, you know, in the background. But I just hope that with Michelle for your season, if you see any nonsense, that you nip that in the butt immediately. Because we know, because they may not play with you, because you already told them you ain't leaving your kids. So maybe they won't play with you, girl. But you let them know. You let them have it. Why y'all doing this? You know, let them... Whatever you need to do, girl, just do it. Just to make sure that your season is where it needs to be. And it's funny because they may not do it with someone, even they tried it with Rachel Lindsay a little bit. They may not do it as much with a black woman, but they tried the black man. So Mike Johnson, I'm going to need you to get ready because they may bring you back for the next season. Because Mike Johnson is a black man with a black man experience. So I'm going to need them to get ready and bring him back. And Mike Johnson actually likes black women. So listen, it is what it is, along with other women too, but he do like black women. So that is it, y'all. I mean, it was so much to unpack. This is a long video. I said everything I needed to say. The season, it is what it was, but at the end of the day, it was always a learning lesson because you could always get a lesson out of everything. Everything was a lesson. I think this lesson was mainly for Matt. Definitely Rachel, Kirk Connell, Michelle learned. We all learned, child. Chris Harrison learned, child. We ain't even talk about him because he ain't that serious to me, to be honest. It is what it is, Chris. You know what? 14 minutes to move your life. You'll know better next time. So anyway, y'all. So that is it with that. This is Jane B. Definitely comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and hit the thumbs up so I can get the algorithm juices going and I can build my channel. So again, thank y'all for watching this long video. And if you're still here, you're the bomb. All right, guys. So until the next time, bye.